So, it being 5 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Agenda review and disposition.
Madam Chair, we do need a non-public session for collective bargaining.
All right. And the minutes of December 19th, both the public and finally non-public, have been posted. Unless there are any corrections or amendments, they stand approved as written. Mr. Parsons.
Alrighty. So I know Mr. Parsons Sr. filled you in on the last time because I was unavailable. So I'll give you guys a short rundown because obviously we had a vacation in between. So not a ton happened. But on December 19th, we had the winter concert. This year, because we have such a large music program this year, we have over 250 kids enrolled, I believe. We had to move to the gym, the gymnasium, instead of the auditorium where we had in the past. And families loved it, kids loved it. Musicians thought the acoustics in the gym were a lot better than they were in the auditorium. And we could fit in a lot more parents, and we're all really happy to have that, and people said it sounded great. So that went over very well. On the 20th of December, progress grades closed online, and they were available for kids to use that, and kids are really enjoying the new Power School program because they can get like apps on their phone for it. And so we're really enjoying being able to access that. But that happened on the 20th. On the 22nd, that Friday, we had a half day of school. And from that half day all the way until yesterday was holiday break. And obviously students very much enjoyed having a little time off before the rush before midterms comes in. A lot of kids this year, Waterville Valley is offering a pass to students from our SAU. And I believe it's like $150 for students to go and ski, and they can get a season's pass out of it. And so a lot of kids you saw at the mountain, and we were really enjoying that. But holiday break went over very well. Second is today. And upcoming on January 7th, the Elks Hoop Shoot-Off contest, the regional contest, is happening at 8:30 a.m. On January 11th, there is a math meet, and I believe it's home, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And on the 15th is Martin Luther King Day, and we won't have school. And then following that, the 16th is just a normal day of classes, but the 17th through the 22nd we'll have midterms. So the 17th, 18th, 19th, and the 22nd, because the 20th and the 21st are Saturday and Sunday. But that's it.
All right. Thank you. And the winter concert was spectacular.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Mr. Halloran?
Yes, just briefly, the legislature comes back into session this week, both the House and Senate. It's a controversial bill with regard to vouchers. We've made our feelings known to our local legislators. Personally, I'm not offended by public choice, but this bill is pretty widespread in terms of being able to take your scholarship or your adequacy money, 90% of it, and going to any school you want, including parochial, religious, evangelical, any kind of school. So there's some issues. The sides have been staked out for a long time. You know the arguments. So, but that will be coming up this week, along with some tweaking to the co-op statutes with regard to co-ops. I sat on a study committee that made recommendations. Basically, what all of us tried to do was find some equity. If a small district wanted to leave a co-op, right now the statute says you don't get anything, and by the way, you don't get your share of what you've put in, and by the way, you got to pay your way out. And in some cases, that can be significant debt service. So we made recommendations to the legislature to tweak that part of the statute in terms of if there's no problem with with you holding on to your school, and the rest of the co-op has no problem with it, you can leave. Most of these SAUs are K through 12s, so and then you wouldn't have to pay. You get credit for what you put into the co-op before they came up with a final number of what you owe to get out of it. So we're trying to bring some fairness to it. It was a good process. It still goes back to, if you have solid articles of agreement, you're in pretty good shape. But many of these older co-ops have no articles of agreement. They form co-ops, maybe they got lost, maybe no one knows where they are, or they're pretty loose. So I think it's that's one piece. And then there's a ton of legislation that we'll be monitoring on a pay-as-you-go basis in terms before it comes before the House Education Committee or the Senate Education. So that's never a dull moment with the legislature. The other issue, Madam Chair, is the appointment of the district clerk. As you know, Daniel has resigned as your district clerk, and I would like to nominate for the board's consideration Lynn Davis, who's in our office and also a resident of the town of Holderness, to be the district clerk. It makes it a lot easier, quite frankly, if the clerk is employed by the SAU just to get all of that work done. There's no money, there's no anything. All the money is with the treasurer, but there's a lot of paperwork that has to go to the state, and a lot of posting that goes along with elections and school district meetings and things like that, and availability for when people sign up for office. So it just makes it a lot easier for the clerk is within the SAU office. So I'm wondering if the board would consider appointing Lynn Davis as the Pemmy-Baker Regional School District's clerk.
I would entertain a motion if someone would like
I'll
to.
make that motion.
Seconded by Tim. Any questions for anyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Looks like that's unanimous.
Thank you very much. And that's the end of my report.
All right. I think the committees meet again Monday, January 22nd, 5 o'clock here. SCC hasn't met. You haven't had the opportunity, have you?
First week in February.
All righty. Discussion items? Anything else to?
Yes, I handed out to everybody a blue folder, and let me tell you the contents of it for tonight's budget hearing. The green sheet is a general overview. We just call it notes, and it's about a general overview, personnel, accounts that may have gone up, revenues, and also notification of the default budget. The second page is the budget draft 2 in terms of personnel. So this is you can look by category. Last year we had 68.0 FTEs in the professional accounts, and this year we're requesting 66.2, and support staff we have 42.7, and again that's the request for this year, 42.7. You should know, and it says this in the notes, that of the 42.7 individuals, 21.4 of those individuals are special education aides. So basically 50% of the support staff is special education aides. Also contained within the folder is a copy of budget draft 2, appropriations and revenues. The blue sheet is the assessment sheet. It tells you the core budget, which is 2.86%, higher than last year. And this has the breakdown for you by community once the state aid is applied. The goldenrod sheet is the warrant articles. And then there's a few pieces of information in terms of assessment increases and decreases over the last 10 years, so people can put into perspective the impact of the high school on local tax rates. And then there's a enrollment projections for this year out through the year 26, 27, so people can get an idea. Now, these are not scientific projections. These are based upon folks that are in the district. But I have to tell you, over the last 5 to 7 years, there hasn't been much movement off of these. We've had people come, we've had people go, but these numbers are hit pretty close to what the total number is. So next year, we're thinking we're going to have 663 folks. In my mind, 663 to 675 is a pretty good target for where we're going to be. And so, all of these, if I can for the folks, all of these are on the high school website. So you just go to penneybaker.org, and the master screen will come up, the homepage will come up, and there's a link right to budget items. And folks can just hit that link, and they can follow it online, or they can download it. It's all there, and we'll make that announcement also during the budget hearing. It's all online, so folks can follow the budget hearing, not only tonight when it's on, but also anytime between now and probably the deliberative session. You can just go onto that link. You can see it on YouTube and also download the material. So it's all there for the public to take a good look at.
All right. Any board member concerns? Do I hear a motion to go into non-public for an update on collective bargaining? Melinda, seconded by Peter. Yes.
Yes.
And